Is it? They're insisting it is, and so it is. Casemiro engulfed. Millimetres in a match of margins. He was made to wait. A wait worth so very, very much.
That commentary, man. That's an intro. That's the way to start the week. Casemiro there with the 1-1 at Stamford Bridge. Oh, geez. I can hear myself here. I need to turn that off. How are we all doing, everyone? We have seriously got a ridiculously busy show this morning. We're speaking about Ten Hag confirming that Manchester United intend to make a signing of a striker in January. We'll speak about Cody Gakpo. We'll speak about Goncalo, Ramos, about João Felix and all the other attackers that are linked with Manchester United. My microphone needs to sit more about there. That's a little bit better. It's freezing AF in England. Snow everywhere. We're speaking about signings in January. We're speaking about the Glazers selling Manchester United. We're speaking about England, Portugal and Brazil all exiting the World Cup. We're speaking about Manchester United losing 1-0 to Real Betis. There really are a ridiculous amount of talking points this morning. I'm going to try and get everything summarized as much as I possibly can. And we've got a bumper week ahead of us in terms of content here on United People's TV. Going to have to cover all the stuff on January signings now. I mean, we've covered it in some detail, but we can, we can really, really focus on it. And it's a big show. It's a busy Monday. Who's down here in the comments? Let's have a look. Kelechi, good morning to you. Freddie Matfield, watching from Wexford, -2. It's cold. Josh, you're off. You're off work. You're sick. I'm not celebrating you being sick, but you're joining in. How you doing? Dan, it's absolutely not. I've got 1 layer on, 2 layers on. I've got 3 layers on. And shoes. Indoors. It's cold. Carl, good morning to you. Klein, Malps, Kevin, Dudley, Gibbo, Lawrence, and I can see there as always, we've got Gungshi, we've got Paula, we've got Josh, we've got the OGs. How are you all doing down here this morning? And I apologize to everyone who I have missed. But what a weekend, eh? I'm sure you enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed myself. And now we're here and let's talk about United. We're close now. What is it? We've got 9 days, I think, until our game against Burnley in the League Cup. We've got 6 days until the World Cup final, of which there may be 2 United players playing on opposite teams. Of course, Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane still in the World Cup, despite the fact that so many United players got knocked out. Brazil with Casemiro, Anthony and Fred. England with Rashford, with Maguire, with Shaw. And Portugal with Bruno Fernandes and Diogo Dalot. It's, it was a hell of a weekend in terms of the football. And I will speak about that a little bit later in the show. But remember, as always, by the way, everyone watching, as soon as we hit 500 likes, it's the Christmas calendar box giveaway. There's Cantona. He wants to be opened up again, as he always does, the filthy git. But it's the latest giveaway. I can't remember what was the giveaway on Friday. The giveaway on Friday was a retro kit, and that was won by Daisy, I believe. I think so, anyway. Was that the 8th or not? Oh, I don't even know anymore. I've done so many giveaways. I need to remember what one I did on Friday because I can't. But look, let's speak about the headline from the show, and let's talk about it because we've spoken in quite a lot of depth here about. Let me do that there about the upcoming January transfer window and the fact that we all know we need a striker. We know full well that there's concerns and questions to be asked about whether United have money to spend in January. And I've actually got a bit more information on that this morning because the videos that I'm sure you watched the weekend, I did my interview with Kieran Maguire. That went out on Saturday morning. And I took a day off yesterday. I kind of shouldn't have because there was so much going on. The Bob Marley Alex shirt. Thank you very much. And that's exactly what it was. It was still in the box. I need to remember. I'll figure that one out. Or you sent a super chat. What are you saying, sir? I know it's off topic, but who do England play next in the World Cup? I think they go, but there's no need for that, is there? Right? Australia, you had your moments. We didn't take the piss when you were knocked out. Right? Let's all be friends here. Let's all be friends. But let's run through Erik Ten Hag's comments on the upcoming January transfer window because he's been speaking about it directly when he was out in Spain for that game against Real Betis. And I will speak about that game against Real Betis. Obviously, there wasn't a match reaction from me on Saturday night. Not sure if you knew, but it was a little bit busy. It was a little bit busy on Saturday. But yeah, let's talk about this first and foremost here to kickstart the show. Ten Hag has confirmed that United are looking to replace Ronaldo in January, right? This is what he said. He was asked whether or not he was looking to sign a striker. And he said, yes, but only when we find the right player. We will do everything in our power. We are doing research at every opportunity, and we will do everything we can if the opportunity is there. So, Manchester United, well, Erik ten Hag has every intention of signing a striker in the January transfer window, which should be, let's be honest, it should be the biggest priority for the club in January. Saying that, the biggest priority for the club in January is finding new owners, getting rid of the Glazers, yes. But in terms of reinforcements, Ronaldo leaving in January accelerated a plan I think that would have happened anyway, that him leaving in the summer. And in terms of an opportunity, the opportunity is there now for Manchester United to really go out and sign somebody. And Erik ten Hag was directly asked about Cody Gakpo in this interview as well. And as you can imagine, he didn't want to be sort of pulled on it. He said, I cannot give comments on specific players. I will never do that. Players have contracts and I respect that, but be sure we are working in the background to get the right players in. And two names here, of course, Goncalo Ramos and Cody Gakpo. And look, as I said, I think I've said it quite a few times now. Goncalo Ramos is a name that we spoke about probably as far back as the summer. Maybe not the summer. Maybe it was after the summer. We were saying, look, there's going to be another Darwin Núñez that breaks through. And then Goncalo Ramos' name sort of came up. And he's obviously had a cracking season at Benfica. We spoke about him before the World Cup. And yeah, he wasn't particularly good in Portugal's game against Morocco. But I don't particularly think that anybody in that Portuguese team were. I think Morocco were fantastic. They really, really were. I'll speak about that later in the show. But in terms of Goncalo Ramos, I think this is a nice little snippet here. This is from David Ornstein in an article he did this morning in terms of what is going on in the January transfer window, in terms of all the names getting linked with clubs, not just Manchester United. And this is what he wrote about Goncalo Ramos. He goes, Benfica rejected offers for the 21-year-old last summer and are likely to stand firm again in January, given that they're in the knockouts of the Champions League and he's under contract until 2025-26. Now, I've seen quite a few people speaking, not just in the comments on here, but just everywhere, saying, oh, look, Goncalo Ramos has got a release clause in excess of 100 million euros. I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere. I've seen plenty of rumors about it, but I haven't seen it confirmed. So I don't know whether or not that release clause exists, but it's pretty spot on there from David Ornstein. Benfica, they sell. They are a selling club, yes, but they kind of sell on their own terms and they sell with the biggest prices possible. So whether or not, if Manchester United were to go all out to sign Goncalo Ramos in January and try to sign him anyway, we would have to pay a premium because they're in the Champions League, because they're storming it in Portugal, and because they probably don't want to sell him now. They probably would prefer to sell him in the summer. I think we're seeing some crazy rumors down here. Mate, Jay, good morning to you, Jay, man. How you doing? What an absolute don. He really is. There's so many Santas in this community, man. It's like a little Santa army. Jay has gifted 20 memberships here to kickstart the week. Amazing, man. Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. I'm going to try and read all 20 out. We've got Alia, Arube, Gianos, Michael, Kalanga, Luke, Nev, AJ, Stephen reacts cheeky, David, Daniel, Owen, M. Hawks, Boz, Daryl, Don, Stefan, Keeman. I'm reading all day here, geez. And Fallen X Melody and Jaga. Mate, you're an absolute amazing dude, man. Amazing, amazing dude. What are you saying there? Saying, great show, Sam. Sorry I missed your show. I can't believe it. Unbelievable. How can you possibly work instead of watching some average content like this? But look, as I say every week, you keep catching me out. I don't know what else I can say. I can't. I've run out of superlatives to describe the generosity in the community to bring others in. And that's why we're doing all these giveaways. That's more than trust me. The giveaways are getting they're going to get cranked up. Maybe not this week, but next week. Trust me, you definitely don't want to miss out on the shows there because you want to be involved in those giveaways. But Goncalo Ramos is, of course, one name on the list, and number 2 on the list. We've got maybe not number 2 on this, but another name on the list is João Felix, right? And this is what Fabrizio Romano is saying about João Felix. And also Atletico Madrid's president has also spoken about João Felix. That he's prepared to leave, and there is a chance for him to leave in January. And as I said, Atletico Madrid's president has confirmed this as well. These are the 3 big names on the list, I would say. João Felix, Goncalo Ramos, and Cody Gakpo. It's not hard for Gakpo or Ramos to be on that list. I mean, look, they just had storming World Cups, goals galore for both of them. Of course, they were going to be on the list. João Felix is a slightly different conversation. Great player, no doubt. Probably the most expensive of the 3, I would say. You type that name in the comments. You let me know. Who do you think would be more expensive? João Felix, Cody Gakpo, or Goncalo Ramos? If they were to leave their respective clubs in January, who do you think would be the most expensive? And we'll go through that. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let me just do that as a poll. That'll be easier. Start a poll. Who would be the most expensive in January? We'll go for Felix, Ramos, and then we'll add Gakpo. But that poll there is up on YouTube now. I think it is. Yeah, there you go. So do that poll, and I'll have a look at the votes. I'll have a look at the votes and the answers. Mate, down. Oh my God, man. Gungshi. We've got Dominic and Gungshi as well. What? It always just. It blows me away. It blows me away. Enwosa, Aliyah, Jimmy, Ruman, and Trevor. You're the lucky 5 from Dominic, and Michael 2. And then 10 from Gungshi. We've got Keen. We've got Eddie Wood. We've got Cham, Tinesh, Kuketso. We've got Andrew, Simon, San, F-Tim, and Udiebi. Honestly, all of you. 35 gifted memberships to kickstart the week is incredible. But yeah, João Felix is definitely... One thing to note here, right? When we go back to this conversation, and we go back to what Erik ten Hag has said here. Man United are looking to replace Ronaldo, and I think that's a more accurate... It's probably a more accurate headline than what I've written on this video. That Man United are going to be signing a striker in January, because it's a bit like, you know, when Ralf Rangnick said that Manchester United need 9 new strikers or something like that. He obviously didn't mean strikers. It was kind of lost in translation. He obviously meant that Manchester United needed an attacker. And we do need an attacker. And I don't think it will particularly 100% be a Goncalo Ramos type player. That's just what my gut instinct is saying. That's not really based on any sort of... I'm not an in the know. I've never tried to present myself in the know. I just interpret the news and I try to bring it to you, the most reliable and reputable sources, and we try and focus on that. It just strikes me that it's not guaranteed that Man United sign a striker. It's also not guaranteed that Man United sign anyone in January. And that I'm going to dive into the finances in a little bit more detail. I know that some of you might find financial talk boring, but you have to remember that it's so critical right now with Manchester United. It would be pointless for me and us to have a conversation about all these signings that we can make in January if United didn't actually have money to spend. And that's what I'm going to be diving into next. Let me go down here and read a few of your comments out, because there's so many of you involved. Christian, I'm going to be speaking about that in probably about 5-10 minutes or so, maybe even less than that. Lots to cover. I might even do it in another Glazers video, in-depth video this afternoon. I'm not sure what it's going to be on this afternoon. I've got to make sure I choose and prioritize what the conversation will be. Felix wages would be crazy. Alex, I think there's an opportunity maybe for Felix on loan in January with a view to buy, because it's a lot. It's how a lot of clubs do their deals now. Luke, you're saying that Felix would be most expensive. Benfica are difficult to deal with, but Atletico on another level. And you're saying my concern about Felix is, why do Atleti want to sell him? I'll be honest, Dan. I just think it's because it was the idea that somebody with such flair and creativity and unique ability in João Felix went to Atletico Madrid in the first place. A team of like disciplined, not robotic. It's a kind of an unfair way to describe Atletico Madrid, but you know how Atletico play. kind of the opposite to how João Felix plays. So I'm not sure their styles ever really matched. Man United need to be sold first. You're not wrong there. We need a proper centre forward, says Jeremy. Not a wide player that may or may not be able to operate as a centre forward. And that, as I said, I don't think that's how Ten Hag is thinking. That's just my own personal opinion and interpretation of what I'm seeing with Ten Hag's style of football and what Man United are missing. We are missing a goal scorer. That's what we're missing. That might be somebody who operates naturally as a number 9, like Goncalo Ramos, or somebody who could operate in that central position in Cody Gakpo, but somebody who's more than capable of drifting left and drifting right. Right, let me see what you're saying on the vote then. How many votes we've got in now? We've got 400 of you have voted so far, nearly double the amount of people who have liked it. It always makes me laugh that. As soon as you put a poll up, everyone's like, get involved, but nobody wants to drop a like on the video. Remember, let's hit 500 likes and we can open the Cantona box. But 400 of you have voted so far. 60% of you think Felix would be the most expensive. 26% of you say Ramos and 15% of you say Gakpo. I've got to be honest. I think 60% of you are right there. Atletico Madrid paid, what was it? It was like 113 million, I think, for João Felix. I think it was. Thereabouts. A lot of dough for a 19-year-old. They would want to recoup that money. They made a mistake, but they would still, in this current transfer market, they would just still be asking for top dollar. And we see what you're saying down there. Felix would be overpriced. Everyone's going to be overpriced, man. It's post-World Cup. It's January. There's 2 premiums on it. Add on to the fact there's United coming after you. Exactly that. Why not give McNeil or Garnacho a run? McNeil is not ready to be playing centre-forward for Manchester United. I would put McNeil in this kind of a similar category as I would put Shoda Shoretire, in the idea that I think both of them, before we have a genuine conversation about whether or not they've got what it takes to play for Manchester United, they both need loan spells. That's my opinion, but I really think they need loan spells. 127 million euros. Jeez. It's a lot. But Luanda, you're kind of right there. I don't know whether they're desperate or not, but there's definitely an opportunity. And look, the president of Atletico has already been speaking about how João Felix could be leaving in January. He's been open about it. Fabrizio here. João Felix is on the market if the right offer comes in. Now, whether that would be an offer that is a loan deal with a fee and wages being paid with a view, not an obligation, but a view to a summer signing, that could happen. But you're not going to get Goncalo Ramos on loan, that's for sure. I don't think you're going to be loaning Cody Gakpo either. Both of those are going to be upfront permanent transfers. Right. Let's have a quick look what we've got next on the cards. This, a little bit of, I enjoyed this, right? This was an interview that basically Erik Ten Hag out in Seville for the Real Betis game, sat down with journalists at lunch. Kind of an informal interview, if you want to call it, per se. And it was just like a to and fro. It wasn't like a press conference. It wasn't something where he sat with a microphone in front. They just all went and got a little bit of lunch together and just had a conversation. And Ten Hag comes across so well, man. He really does. And obviously, I probably overhype it because I'm enjoying what Ten Hag is doing, what he has done so far, and where I think we can go underneath him. But he was in depth. If you get the opportunity, I'll drop the link to the interview here on The Athletic. Let me pop that in the comments. That's down there. If you want to go and give it a read, it's just a to and fro, as I said, but it comes across so well. And the Ronaldo situation, in my opinion, is one of that's shown that Erik Ten Hag can manage anybody inside this Manchester United dressing room. He will have that control, and it's a big deal that that's happened. Daisy, you're saying you take Tony down there. I'll be honest, I think the Tony situation, because of the betting allegations, I don't think anyone's going to go after Tony in January. I don't think so anyway. I'd be very, very surprised. Cody Gakpo in January, get Ramos sale agreement for June. I mean, wouldn't that be perfect? But no, Man United don't work there in that sort of sense. Mark Gakpo's not great, apparently. So that's what. Honestly, I think with Cody Gakpo, I've spoken about that previously. Now, the World Cup really showed me that I think he's better than I gave him credit for. And some of the fears of yes, they're playing in the Eredivisie, yes, they're scoring goals, but can they do it in the Premier League? And then you've seen what he's done at the World Cup. Now, tournament football is of course different, yes, but it still was quite impressive. And I think he's better than people are giving him credit for. Now, as well as us talking about Gakpo and Ramos and Felix, and I'll be covering all of that this week. I'll try and figure out what's going to be released first in terms of priority, but I'm going to cover absolutely everything this week in terms of more updates on the Glazers and them selling Manchester United, on João Felix, on Cody Gakpo, on Goncalo Ramos. So if you haven't already subscribed to United People's TV, I'd love to have you on board. As you can see here, even if you're just joining in one show, you see how good this community is, man. This community really is outrageously good. Right, we've got 560 votes so far, and just at 58% of you think that Felix would be the most expensive. I think I agree with you. Let's end that poll there. Felix, if we do go after Felix, it would probably be on a loan move. And they do happen these days. They happen far more than they used to. Quite a few of you talking about Jonathan David, Brian Brobby, Sesko. Mate, you can throw in a million different names. There are so many attackers who will be linked with us. Mohamed Kudus. But look, we need to speak about somebody who exists at the club at the moment, because there's a whole conversation to be had around Marcus Rashford. I could do a separate video on this. That's what I mean. Today is a busy, busy show. We're 20 minutes in, and there are so many more important talking points. So make sure you stick around for the full one today. Marcus Rashford. Of course, I think he finished as, England's joint top goal scorer, 3 goals. Had it in, he didn't play that much, but when he did play, significant impact. Marcus Rashford's had an excellent season so far at Manchester United. I think he's looking far more like the 2019-20 Rashford than the one that we saw last year, the player who he kind of lost himself. Last year, but he's really, really found himself. Now, of course, this is the story. PSG are sniffing around him. PSG's president has already said, yeah, what? Well, if we can get Rashford on a free, well, hell yeah, basically is what he said. And Erik ten Hag was questioned about Marcus Rashford. And this is what he said. He was asked whether Man United could stop Rashford joining PSG. He said, I can't answer that question. He has to make a decision. What we can do is show him that this is the best club to be in. And it has to do with the culture of the club, but also in the way we're working together. And he went a little bit further and he said this. On the deal to be extended until 2024, he goes, he has 1.5 years. And yes, Rashford will be here for all of that. So the first thing to say about the Rashford conversations, Man United are triggering that extension. So Diogo Dalot's got one. Rashford's got one. And I think David De Gea's got one. And there are there's 1 or 2 more, I think, as well. Rashford won't be leaving Manchester United on a free transfer. We will be extending that contract by 1 year. So any idea that Rashford's going to be leaving on a free in January, any idea that PSG are going to get a pre-contract agreement signed up in Jan, don't worry about it. At some point in the next 18, 19 days, we're going to get an announcement from Manchester United that agreement has been signed. I imagine the same conversation will be had around Diogo Dalot, and I imagine the same conversation will be had around David De Gea as well. I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 were announced at once. Again, gut instinct, but I think all 3 will be done. Lots of you asking about Diogo Dalot's injury. I don't know any updates on that one just yet, if I'm being honest. But what do you think about Marcus Rashford? You can let me know. You let me know in the comments, right? Do you see him signing a new long-term deal at Manchester United? That's the question, right? The question isn't whether or not we should extend the contract by 1 year. Well, of course you should. There's no way we should be losing Rashford for free, or Dalot, or anybody. But it's whether or not you think that Rashford should be signing that long-term deal, because I'll tell you what, Ten Hag waxed lyrical about him. There you go, wax lyrical. Jeez, I've got to get... I'm not sure there's a stream I say these days. Or I don't say that. He was talking about... he was effectively saying... Let me try and get the quotes up here. I thought I had them up, but I don't. There we go. Because there's a certain name that Erik ten Hag compared Marcus Rashford to somewhat. He said this. Compared to killing Mbappe by Erik ten Hag. And this is what he said. From the first moment, I recognize huge potential. When Marcus's positioning is on the back of the defending line, there is almost no better player in the world. There is only Mbappe at this moment. I mean, that really is the highest of praise for Marcus Rashford. I'm not quite sure it's completely and utterly correct, but there's no doubt that Rashford, when he's on form, man, he's a proper joy to watch. He really is. That peak, if I'm thinking of like the peak Rashford, the best I've seen him at United is when he receives the ball probably between 5 and 10 yards away from his defender, and he just runs at them like a steam train and just skips past them. Just skips past them like they're not even there. Cuts back inside on the right foot and causes all sorts of danger. And just literally laces it, puts his foot through it and nearly breaks the net. Remember that goal that he scored against Liverpool? Exactly that. On the left-hand side, beat his man, chopped it back in on his right peg and just fired it into the other corner. I remember that goal. I kind of agree with that. I think the idea of trying to throw Rashford into the same conversation as Mbappe is an ever so... It's a little bit of a stretch there, Erik. All right? I get what he means, but I don't personally think that Rashford will be leaving Manchester United. I don't think Rashford should be leaving Manchester United. I'm going to read a few of your comments out down here. He's usually useless against the team that sits back. I mean, he's not useless, but I'll tell you what, United overall have been useless against a low block for a long old time. Josh, you're saying we can't let him leave. Sign him up to a long-term ASAP. Rashford deserves a contract, says Grain. Rashford's top quality, and I agree with him. Imagine having both in your team. Jeez, Mbappe. Nah, I don't think that's going to be happening. He deserves a contract, says Charles. Thapello saying Rashford's our best attacking player. I can't think off the top of my head about the rest of them. Adam, you're saying Rashford's got to stay with us forever. Has to be a one-team player. Surprise, surprise. Another day, another Gakpo talk. He's not a striker. I've at no point have I ever said that Gakpo is a striker. As I said, I probably should have worded the title of the video a little bit differently, because Man United will be signing an attacker, a forward, a Ronaldo replacement in January, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a striker, because Gakpo is not a striker. Gakpo, and no one's saying he is. He's a goal scorer. That's what we need. That's why Gakpo is part of these conversations. We'll take a very good offer, but we'll be a bit sad if he went. It's up to him. And that's a question as well: is would Rashford walk away and turn his back on Manchester United for a bumper offer from PSG? Hey, look, it's modern football, man. Players don't have the same connections to clubs that they once did. I think that's not like an old man complaining about, it was football back in my day, blah, blah, blah. But it's just kind of true that the connection isn't as tight between players and clubs as it was back in the day. But Marcus Rashford, he's born and bred. He's come through the academy. He loves United. Erik ten Hag saying that he's first into training and last out of training with a smile on his face. I think I know Rashford's connection to United does go deeper than the average player. So it would hurt. It would cut to see him turn his back and just go to PSG for the extra money. But as Erik ten Hag, as Fabrizio Romano says here, that 1-year contract extension, that will be done. That will be triggered, and Rashford will not be leaving for PSG on a free, right? The conversation that goes, it gets delayed, it gets pushed back 6 months, is whether or not he signs that long-term deal, or whether United offer him that long-term deal. It strikes me as we will. It's whether or not he wants to sign it. We don't know that, but Rashford won't be leaving on a free, so that's a good thing. Maybe not the club, but he's a hero in Manchester. Mate, he's not just a hero in Manchester. He's a social hero. He really is. He's as far as role models go, young role models in football, you're not going to get many better examples than Marcus Rashford, what he's done and what he's continuing to do. But look, let's focus, in my opinion, on where we should be focused. You saw my content last week. Every day I was talking about the Glazers. because I want to bring you the latest updates as and when they happen. That's why I did that interview with Kieran Maguire on Saturday morning. It was more of an in-depth chat, more to try and hear from somebody with actual financial expertise and knowledge about the topic. What does it mean? What about the debt? Who's liable for the debt? What does it mean in terms of the sale of the club? Does the debt definitely get wiped off? And I spoke to Kieran about that in depth. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. If you did, make sure you go back and drop a like on it. It does make a big, big difference. But let's speak about the latest updates here from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic on the Glazers sale. And there are some pretty important points that I want to speak about with you when it comes to this interview, right? This article here this morning, but there's something I want to speak to you about first, and that's diving into the numbers a little bit more, right? Again, I apologize if you think they're boring, but trust me, this sort of information is what you really need to get your head around, and there's a bit more clarity on it. Big shout out to Toe in the Water. I think he writes for Red News, United fanzine, and he offers real clarity. Because I spoke about the financial results, unfortunately, with Kieran Maguire, I did the interview half an hour before these results were released, which was a little bit annoying. And if I had planned it better, I probably would have done it after, so we could really speak about them in depth. But more information has been released now because the full results are out, and there's a lot more info inside that. And this is one of the most staggering things about Manchester United's financial results, right? Let's get this up. Let's get this there. Let's close that. Manchester United's cash there. We haven't got £24 in the bank. That's 24 million. But if you're looking at how low that is, let's go back here and look at Manchester United. Manchester United, once upon a time, look, only 6 years ago, we were a cash-rich club. We had plenty in the bank. 229 million at the end of the fourth quarter. The year after that, 290 million, 242 million, 308 million. And look at the hit that we took there, presumably down to signings. I don't know about that bit. But look how low our cash is now as a football club. Like I did a video. Some might say that it was me going over the top when I said Manchester United are heading towards a financial crisis. I really genuinely am not overstating this. We really are. If you're looking at the current liabilities compared to the assets we've got, there's, no matter where you look, it's absolutely outrageous. And this is a huge one as well, right? Because look at, we keep talking about the debt of Manchester United, about how the debt is around about 560 million, right? This right here is Manchester United paying for transfers on a credit card. And look at now what the total debt is for Man United. It is broken down into what the actual debt is, the amount that we owe in terms of this right here. Let me try and explain these numbers in a bit more detail because it's a little bit complicated. Manchester United's debt is over 1 billion in total. That figure is the actual physical debt itself, the loans that Manchester United have because of the Glazers. The second part of that debt is how much Manchester United owe in terms of overdrafts. What are our overdrafts? Now, they are 200 million as it stands. And number 3 on top of that is how much money Manchester United owe to other clubs for players that we've signed. So if we sign a player for 100 million and we pay 20 million up front, that means we owe 80 million over the course of the next 4 years. That's what that blue figure is there, the net transfer debt. And look how much that's increased. Look at the jump there. You're going back towards, what was it, 2018 there, when it was at the highest before? It's double that now. Manchester United are really, the way that, as I said, the Glazers are great businessmen. They are, the Glazers are shit businessmen who happen to have one of the biggest assets in world football. And they are plunging us towards such a dangerous, dangerous place. Now, look at this. Look at the scale of the spike here in terms of transfer debt owed to other clubs. This is what I mean. This is about what happens when you sign a player and you don't actually have the money to sign said player, and you spread the cost of that player. And that's normal. That happens. I think it's called player amortization. It's what happens. Clubs do it a lot these days. They spread the cost of a signing over a 4-year period instead of 1-year period. That makes the accounts for that club look better over that 4-year period. It's like, I don't know, you go and you pay for something, and you can get Klarna. You can get like 3 interest-free payments of £33.33 instead of paying £100 up front. It happens on a consumer level, and on a business level, a massive business level. This is what Manchester United are looking at right now. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And this next bit here is a really important part of the show. It's a really important part of why I wanted to speak to Kieran Maguire. Because I said to him, I said, look, we can talk all day long about how we want to replace Ronaldo in January, right? Do we have the money to spend in January? And I think we do. And this is the important figure to understand here, right? So this is from the official, this is a line from the official accounts and reporting. And this is about Manchester United's overdrafts. As I've shown you here, as I've shown you there, Manchester United are buying players on debt. We're buying players on the credit card. That's what we're doing. That's what we have done for a long time. That's what the Glazers have forced on us because we don't have any cash anymore. We're not generating enough cash as a football club, so we're spending on our credit card. And this is why I need to speak about this, the revolving facilities. Let's read through this. So on the 3rd of October, look how cheeky this is, right? Manchester United took out another 100 million on our overdraft on the 3rd of October. That's the day after the reporting period ended for Q1. If that 100 million, which we've already taken out, was added onto this, and to the debt, it will be even higher. It's over 1 billion. It's like 1.1 billion at the moment. But it's because they did that the day after the reporting period ended. But look, right, this is what's important. Manchester United took out another 100 million, which means that right now there are 200 million pounds worth of overdraft that Manchester United have taken out from available facilities right there. From available facilities of 300 million. So Manchester United, we've taken out 200 million, and in total, we've got the possibility to take 300. So if Manchester United wanted to, in the January transfer window, we could, if you're the Glazers, they have the ability to put another 100 million pounds worth of debt on the club to fund a new signing in January. And if you're speaking hypothetically of just what the Glazers want to do, they want to make Manchester United the best possible asset to be sold. You're going to be spending that 100 million pounds. You're going to take that debt out because it's not the Glazers' money. It's just increasing the debt of Manchester United. They will do that. So what you're looking at there is a potential budget of 100 million. But it's not a budget. It's a fucking overdraft. But it's an overdraft that I think the Glazers will use. And that's a really important figure to take away from this. Because this is the clarity I wanted to find, and I found it. We can take more money out in January. The credit facility is there. There's 100 million that could be taken that we currently do not take. And as I said, given that the Glazers are looking to sell, are trying to sell, I don't see why they wouldn't do that. Erik ten Hag wants a new striker or a new attacker to replace Ronaldo in January. And Manchester United, if we wanted to, we could take out another 100 million as a loan. It's twisted, man. It really is twisted. We were a cash-rich club before. We were self-sustainable. We spent our own revenues. But they have bled it dry, man. They have bled it dry. Tyler, you're saying, look, that 300 million they have to spend there, or is it 100 million? No, it's not 300 million. We've already taken out 200 million. Imagine that overdraft. You look at the bank account, you go, "Ooh, $1.5 grand overdraft. How much am I getting charged for that?" Fucking the amount you're paying here on a 200 million pound overdraft. There's 200 million pounds you don't have that you're spending. That could go up to 300. There's 100 million more that currently isn't being used as an overdraft facility. Now, I don't know what happened here, by the way, because if we go there, Manchester United took out another 100 million pounds worth of debt on the 3rd of October. That's a really bad circle. Let me go there. The 3rd of October. I don't know what that was spent on. But, man, our club really, really has. They have run it into the ground, man. They've run into it. And you want to know something a little bit more terrifying? No, you wait till the next thing I've got to tell you. How many likes are we on now? We're on 407. So just under 100 more likes, and we'll get Cantona opened. There he is. He's just sitting there waiting for it. He's sitting there. Financial explanations are a much better topic than transfer gossip. I try to, Jonathan, but it's important to try and sort of keep our heads around it all. I'll probably explain this in a video at lunch, saying, look, United have got the money. We don't have the money. The Glazers have forced our debt up to I think it's at 1.1 billion now because of that extra one on top of it. And they'll happily make that 1.2 billion to fund the signing. I think so anyway. Bully, I've got a 300 quid overdraft. Makes me sick when I've got to dip into it. Imagine that 300 quid overdraft, Bully, had another 6 zeros at the end of it. Your fee would be rather big. That's exactly why Man United have had to spend so much on servicing their debt. But on top of all of that, this really important article here that I will run through, as I said, I'm going to cover. It feels like, yeah, I know that January transfer talk about who's better, Gakpo or Ramos or Felix. It's sexy, and we will have that sexy conversation this week. But I'm definitely going to focus on the Glazers, on the debt, on what our budget could be for January, because that's a more important conversation to have before we go out and we think about who we could sign. And this article here from The Athletic, from Laurie Whitwell, on what they're hearing about the sale of Manchester United. There's it's a really in-depth article, right? I'll leave the link down in the comments here. For anybody who's subscribed to The Athletic, you definitely should. It's one of the best, I would say anyway, when it comes to reputable journalism. And that's kind of what they try to do. I remember when they signed everyone as a journalist, and then Neil Custis didn't get brought on and he was fuming. I do like him when Neil Custis gets angry. A little bit of a random point. Jonathan, you're asking down there, what the 1958 up to now? The 1958 has just launched a Facebook group. I know they're planning protests for the Forest game. I'm in chats with them. They are still going to be working hard to make sure that the conversations are held. It's not a case of, the Glazers are selling. Oh, great, it's game over. It's not. They carry on doing what they're doing, and they're trying to expand and do more as well. Does the savings due to Ronaldo's leaving show in these figures? If you look at the EBITDA, which is what the estimated, that's before interest, tax, and that's the actual overall earnings prospects have increased. I think they increased it from around about 110 to 120 million. It's gone up basically because Ronaldo's left. They're saying that Manchester United will now be earning a little bit more because our costs are going to be quite a little bit less. But look, there's two, as I said, that article there's two big points that I want to run through, and these are them. They're saying this: the Rain Group, who is acting as Manchester United's financial advisor, is aiming for a full sale of Manchester United in the first quarter of 2023 at a price between 6 and 7 billion pounds. So we've had talks about how we'd love the club to be sold before the end of the season, and the Glazers are pushing for that. The first quarter, so that's between January, February, and March of 2023. They would love to get it. So look, we've had some wild times in turn on the channel, the community here, and all the things that we've covered during the summer was was exhausting. That was crazy. Covering all that stuff with De Jong and how Man United acted in that summer transfer window was bonkers. But what we've got coming up now in these next, probably next 6 months or so, is the most important 6 months that we've had as a football club since the Champions League final back in 2000. I don't know. You can go whatever you want to do. Since Fergie retired. This next 6 months that's coming up is so ridiculously significant. 6 to 7 billion. I think good luck to the Glazers getting that. I would absolutely love. Who is it? I'd love to take Denise Richards out for dinner. It's not going to happen, is it? Man United might want to get 6 to 7 billion, but they're not going to get 6 to 7 billion. I don't think so anyway. We've spoken about how much we think it's worth. I did my video a while ago, and the number I came to was $5.8 billion. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. Josh, you're saying, is that a full sale or a partial sale to keep power? It's a full sale. And you want to know, now this will make you feel sick, the idea of it. Because rewind to what happened during the summer. And remember when we heard about the Glazers being in talks with Apollo, a financial institution, to try and get investment in the club? We all saw that as, the Glazers are just trying to get investment because they don't want to pay for any sort of stadium redevelopment, a new Carrington. They don't want to pay for that. They want to try and get someone else in to pay for that. That's not what they tried to do in the summer. Imagine this. The reason that Joel and Avram Glazer were speaking to Apollo was not because they wanted investment in Manchester United. What Joel and Avram Glazer tried to do this summer was get Apollo to buy out the other 4 Glazer siblings. They went there and they tried to get, I think it was around about 980 million. They wanted that investment from Apollo to buy out Edward, Darcy, Brian, and I can't remember the other one. Keith? Kevin? Actually, I think it's Kevin. That's what they tried to do this summer. Joel and Avram Glazer, instead of trying to get investment for the football club, they tried to buy out their fucking brothers and sisters and boot them out because they wanted to. And it is ridiculous. This article really is ridiculous. Basically saying that as far back as 2012, even before Man United went on the New York Stock Exchange, that the other 4 siblings would rather have sold Man United at that point than deal with the bollocks of making it a public limited company. But Joel and Avram Glazer are the 2 that kicked back against it. And they are the 2 who have orchestrated everything. And they tried to buy out their own siblings in the summer with a $1 billion investment. And then they would have just held Manchester United themselves. We wouldn't have been owned by the Glazer family. We would have just been owned by Joel and Avram Glazer. That's what they tried to do in the summer. They've tried everything. They've tried the European Super League. Was it Project Big Picture? And they tried to buy out their siblings to maintain power at Manchester United. Had that happened, wow. That would have been, I don't even know what to call that. But that would have happened in the summer if Apollo had gone, you know what? Yeah, cool. But they didn't agree with the investment opportunity, with the price that they were asking for them. And I think Apollo wanted equity in Manchester United as part of it, and the Glazers were not willing to give up that equity. Honestly, that bit there, that little nugget of information, that's twisted. That could have happened this summer. Fucking hell. So yeah, that article there, I'm going to run through this. The Glazers selling the club is the most significant and most important moment in our modern history, for sure. So I will absolutely be covering the January transfer window as much as I possibly can. But my priority on this channel will always be getting the Glazers out and bringing you as much information and the latest news and updates on that. So the video that's going out this afternoon, I'm going to focus on the Glazers again, just like I did with the interview on Saturday, just like I did, I think, with my videos on Thursday and Friday last week. I think it's important. And I think you as a community, I think you agree. We're kind of on the same wavelength. Who's down here in the comments? Have a quick look. What are we on now? We're on 477 likes. So drop a like on the video now. We've got 1,200. There's nearly 800 of you right this second who could just go boom. Come on, people. Drop a like on the video. I don't know why people aren't doing it. Maybe just hands-free. They're just watching the content, enjoying it hands-free. But in terms of a significant moment that's coming up as well, and that's this. We've finally got confirmation that there's going to be a football regulator. It's been passed by the government. I'm not sure if has it been passed? A regulator it's been given the green light by Rishi Sunak. So it's not been passed just yet. But this is the regulator that we've been wanting and needing for a long, long time. So we are at the point now where the Glazers are actively trying to sell the club. They want between 6 and 7 billion. And they want to sell in Q1 of 2023, between January and March 2023. That would be big news, right? That would be huge news. And on top of that, we're going to get a regulator who's in control of basically what this football regulator would be an independent body that sits there and scrutinizes football clubs for how they are run. It means that we won't be able to get a Glazers V2. We are at the point now where we might be getting rid of the Glazers, and we will be bringing in a football regulator. This is a huge moment for English football as well, because there's a huge influx of American ownership in the Premier League, and it's reaching sort of dangerous levels. If there are more now in terms of American owners, it's complicated. So these two things are so significant. The idea of getting the Glazers out and getting a regulator in, so whoever buys us, they will be scrutinized to make sure that they are genuine, fit and proper owners. Remember that fit and proper owner test? Well, that was a load of shit, wasn't it, back in the day? That was a joke. And look, we're here 50 minutes into the show, and I haven't spoken about the Real Betis game. I haven't spoken about all the World Cup games that happened at the weekend. I told you it was a busy show. I think we've hit 500 now, no? Have we? Yeah, we've hit 500. Let's get the box open. Oh, Cantona. Yeah, boy. I just like his face every time. Look at it. Did it. Right, let's get the box open. Now, this is another good one. I told you I've got 5 of these to give away. We are giving away another Retro United kit. I don't even know what to do in terms of the entry mechanic anymore. Look at that. Front of the box as well. Anybody who's bought the merch, you get that as part of the merch. I love that sticker. But yep. I've told you I've got a lot of good stuff given away here. So we've got this bad boy. I don't know what to do. Look, can you just make sure that when the videos go out, when the video goes out today, you leave a comment on it. It's going to be about the Glazers. I'm just going to choose one random person from all the comments there on YouTube in this afternoon's video. I'm going to choose one of you. It could be anybody, but just support the content. That's all I'm asking you to do. That's why I'm doing these giveaways. Just drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new, become a member if you want to. Just become part of the community, right? That's what I'd like you to do. And that's why I'm doing these giveaways. And trust me, the giveaways are going to get even better. Adrian, nice to see you there, joining in. Final prizes. No one's getting the box. No one's getting the box. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Who won the Ajax jersey? I can't remember. I don't even think I chose a winner. I'll do that tomorrow. But trust me, I'm definitely going to do that. I just haven't chosen it yet. Basically because I forgot. It happens. It happens. But look. What a busy show. What a busy show. And as I said, I apologize because I didn't actually... That was the first match in a long old time. Long old time where I didn't have a match reaction. And it's because everything was crazy on Saturday. It was so busy. So I didn't have time to. So I apologize about that. But I'll be honest, if you watched that game, and I did, it was crap. It really was crap. Man United... I mean, be honest, both performances were pretty lackluster. I think it's fair to say that. In the first half of both games, well, we were slightly better in the first half against Real Betis, compared to how bad we were in the first half against Cadiz. But It's it was near good. That's what I would say. I want to say quickly, I hope for Tenan Mengi's sake that he's doing all right, because he went down with what looked like quite significant. I think it was a hamstring? I think it was sort of grabbing the back of his leg. It didn't look good for him. He went off on a stretcher. I wish him the absolute best. I'll be honest, it didn't look particularly good for him. There honestly wasn't really a conversation here to have about man of the match or best individual performance or anything. It was just best thing you can say about the two games is they're probably a bit fitter. Martial, he scored a goal and he didn't get injured. There really are not many positive talking points you can get overall from those two games. But it was games where it allowed the youngsters to train at the very least with Erik ten Hag and sort of come in there. So I think that'd be good. Jonathan has a good point. Did we actually win that? I actually didn't see that. I forgot that the Youth Cup was playing, and that's all the more impressive considering the likes of Charlie McNeil, Kobe Mainu, Hansen, Aaron, Bennett, so many of the team that probably would have played in that game for the youth in the Youth Cup. They won 3-1. Could be ACL. I don't know. I'll be honest. It didn't look good for Tenan Mengi, and I feel really sorry for the lad, but it really didn't look good. And John, I think that's a fair question to ask. You're saying, is there a concern at a lack of depth? Yeah, there is, but also at the same time, I mean, literally basically our whole team was gone. And in terms of depth, in terms of everybody setting the tone and bringing the level up, I wouldn't look, in my opinion, I wouldn't look at these two games for any sort of overall patterns that we can start getting worried about a lack of depth. Because if you take all the presence of Martinez and Casemiro and Rashford and Shaw and all those senior players away from that training ground, away from that team, away from that dressing room, then yeah, everyone's going to play at a lesser level. So yeah, I do have worries about our depth, but I don't think you can look too hard at these two games for any massive overall patterns. That's what I personally think. No, Donny did not play. He was supposed to play. He was in the starting 11. Then he got replaced by Hansen Aaron quite quickly. I don't know whether was it an injury. I think it was an injury. But back to the football at the weekend. Let's wrap up here. We've got the last 5 minutes of the show, and I haven't even mentioned the bloody World Cup. I haven't mentioned everything that happened at the weekend. That there, you're probably looking at sports photo of the year. It was a wild game between Netherlands and Argentina on Friday, wasn't it? The balls for the Netherlands to try that free kick, the last kick of the game, and to pull it off. I was like, man, it's like fair play. But Argentina went through. Lisandro Martinez went through. Shit, I actually did a giveaway on Twitter. Damn, I need to choose a winner from that. I'm doing so many giveaways. As I said, because you're so many of you. We've had Jay this morning. We've had Gungshi this morning. And we've had, I can't remember who the third one was. I apologize. Somebody else gifted memberships as well. Because you're being so generous to me, I'm being generous back. That's why I'm doing so many conversations. So many conversations, so many giveaways. I'm losing my mind now. Wow, what a busy show it has been this morning. But Martinez there, he's in the World Cup semi-final. Hopefully he can go through. Obviously, commiserations to Portugal, commiserations to Brazil, commiserations to England. Penalty. It had to be a penalty, didn't it? It really had to be a penalty. And you're down here saying, look, wasn't it? Hey, come on, man. It's far more part of I was kind of explaining this to people on Friday night. It's so much more not fundamental, but shithousery and the dark arts. South America are so much better at it than anyone else. Or maybe they just give less of a shit. But they see it as, I can't remember who was interviewed about it, but they see it as sort of a skill of football. If you're very good at it and you know what you can get away with, it's like being good at dribbling. It's like it's just a facet of the game that you have to understand and be good at, because if you're not, somebody will be better than you and use it against you. But Argentina are in the World Cup final. France are in the World Cup final. If we're looking at silver linings there to England going out, Rafael Varane's, it's not World Cup final, World Cup semi-finals. France are playing Morocco, and geez, you wouldn't write Morocco off after they knocked Spain and Portugal out. And look, you've got, who was it in the other semi-final? It's Argentina against Croatia. And again, you just wouldn't rule Croatia out. The king of the penalty shootouts. I'll be honest, the ref was ridiculous. He was. The ref was so poor in that England game. It was a foul in the build-up to France's goal. How was that not a foul on Harry Kane? Why on earth did it need VAR after Mason Mount was absolutely bulldozed off the... It was poor. But ultimately, I really felt sorry for Harry Kane, man. Really did. To have 2 penalties in a game, the amount of thought process that was going through his mind for that second penalty. And he tried to place it in the exact same spot like I kind of thought he would, but he leant back and he blasted it over. And it's just penalties. England and penalties. It was penalties in the Euro 2020 final. It's a penalty that sees us knocked out at the quarterfinal stage. But look, what a busy show today. I think I've covered everything. I might have missed a few things, and I'm not surprised if I missed a few things. Remember that today's giveaway, today's Christmas calendar giveaway, it's 12th of December. We're getting towards Christmas now. We're giving away another one of these retro jerseys. All you've got to do to be in with a chance of that that shirt, is drop a like on the video that's going to go out at lunchtime today and leave a comment. I'm going to choose one random comment and I'm going to give that away. It's going to be a video on the Glazers. It's going to be a video about Manchester United's January transfer budget and more information about the debt. Let me go down here. Oh, mate, bringing Sterling on. That was a weird one. I'm going to read a few of your comments out down here. Best team lost. Croatia going to get revenge on France. I don't know. We'll see about that. Really pray that... Hey, look, we were speaking about, the concerns about the World Cup. We're not coming back so far. Touch wood, all sorts of wood. We haven't had too many major injury concerns. Martinez is in the semi-final against Croatia and Varane's in the semi-final against Morocco. Let's see what they can do. Maximum of 2 games left for both of those. But at least there's some United presence. And depending on what goes on there, United will be coming back with a World Cup winner. And there's a comment down there which I definitely want to finish on, and it's something that I've immediately thought about as well. In the Euro 2020 final, Bukayo Saka, Jadon Sancho, and Marcus Rashford all missed penalties and suffered major racial abuse as a consequence. And it was fucking abhorrent. It was just it was sick. Harry Kane misses a penalty. Not really much of a peep. Oh, he's just unlucky. He's just unlucky that he... Blah, blah, blah. It is ridiculous how different the reaction has been. And it just... People like you... It's sad, really, if I'm being completely honest. But I definitely... I noticed that. I definitely noticed how different the reaction was to Harry Kane missing that penalty. And I just wanted to call that out for what it was. Jude Bellingham. I think he's going to Liverpool if he's going to go anywhere. Let's talk. Across the course of this week, we're going to be coming back to this. Ten Hag's confirmed that we want to sign a striker in January. A striker, an attacker, whatever you want to call it, people. Stop having a go at me. We're going to be signing somebody in January if the opportunity is there. I've spoken about budgets. I've spoken about the Glazers. I'm going to be doing a video this lunchtime on the Glazers selling Manchester United, the latest updates on that, and about our January transfer budget. That's an important one to do. But look, thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you everybody for Gungshi, for Jay, for everybody who gifted memberships down here. That was a busy show. I need to go take a lie down. I'm not going to take a lie down. I'm going to get the next video done. But look, thank you everybody for joining in. Make sure you drop a like on the video. I hope you enjoyed the Christmas intro today, by the way. Had the Casemiro commentary. We've got one more intro for next week as well. Have a cracking day. I'll speak to you soon.